So Linda says, I was let down yesterday, second time by second guy. But excuses, but he says he really likes me, told me my time is important and to jog along. Well, if a guy tells you something like that, right? If he's like, hey, your time's really important and you're really special and amazing, and so you should just leave and go find somebody else. My suggestion is that you listen to that, right? Because for him, what that's doing is that's coming from a very low value, low quality, like immature kind of standpoint, right? That's coming from insecurities. And he's like, maybe I'm not good enough for you, so go find another man, right? And so my suggestion is that you listen to that, right? If a guy's going to tell you to go and find somebody else, he's telling you something very important, and that is that inside of him, he doesn't really believe that he's worth it. And so you want to listen to that and go find somebody else. And it sucks, right? It sucks when you're in these situations where guys let you down and people this happens all the time to lots of people, men and women. And so you want to make sure that you're in a place of abundance, and it's going to happen, right? It's going to happen all the time. I was just hanging out with a friend of mine today, and he was talking about his dating life, and he goes out and he approaches women all the time, right? He approaches sometimes 10 to 20 women a day on the street. He will walk up and approach them and talk to them. And we were talking about like his numbers, right? And how many women he has to approach, and he's got to approach, like 10 women in order to get like one or two numbers. And then out of those two numbers, usually one of them will actually pan out to him meeting up with somebody on a date, right? And like all this kind of stuff, right? And it's really a big numbers game for him. And it's one of those things where you don't want to think about everything like it's a numbers game, because you want to be connected to the actual person, and you want to be authentic with them, and you want to look at them with compassion and be connected and be there with him and have a good time, and not just look at him like numbers. But there is a numbers component to it, right? Where you're going to meet people and they're just not going to be the right people for you. And it could be that sometimes you meet a bunch of people who aren't the right people for you, and then all of a sudden things switch and maybe you do something different. Maybe it's just random variation. Who knows? And all of a sudden you start meeting people that are the right people for you over and over and over again. You're like, wow, all of a sudden, here they are, here they come, or maybe your mindset shifts. A lot of times it's mindsets, right? It's changing the way that you feel about yourself and what you deserve, and feeling about yourself like you're a special and beautiful and amazing and sexy and gorgeous human being. And then when you start coming from a mindset like that, a lot of times things will shift. So it just depends. My suggestion is you try a bunch of different things and find out what works and what doesn't work, and just keep going, and don't get overly caught up on things not working out with people, and just look at it as a part of the journey that you're on here to get into a great relationship where you're valued and you're seen by an amazing, awesome, high value guy who's going to treat you great and you're going to be totally in love with, and look at him like he is absolutely amazing and wonderful. And what you need to do is believe that is coming, that you will see that, start speaking that into existence, start believing it in your mind, start believing it in your heart, start visualizing it coming true in your life, so that you really kind of feel it, and that you're going to do anything. You're going to do whatever it takes to find that amazing soulmate type relationship that you want to have, and not let these little things, whenever a guy's not really right for you, you let go, right? If a guy's not right for you, you need to let go immediately and move on to where you're valued and you're cherished and you're looked at by a man as the type of woman who he wants to have in his life forever, the type of woman that he has eyes only for you, right? And there's some men who aren't going to see your value. No matter what you do, no matter how you act, no matter what you say, no matter how many tricks you throw at him, no matter how many amazing text messages you send to him, he's not the right guy. He's not going to see your value. You're never going to be enough for him, because he's not the right man for you. And when you realize that, when you see a guy who's not right for you, you need to let go of him immediately and start moving on to somebody else. And there's kind of a middle ground, right? I talk about this idea of the magic is in the middle, and you always want to be in the middle ground, right? If you jump to one side or the other, that's when you have problems. Extremes are where all the problems are, right? The one extreme is that you hold on to guys who aren't right for you for way too long, right? And you just hold on to him. You're like, stay with me, right? And he's like getting married to somebody else, right? We have women that come to us that are in situations like that all the time. They're like, how do I make this married man leave his wife for me? You know, and you're like, you get away from that situation. You know, you deserve more than that. You are worth more than that. And you have to believe that you're worth more than that. And the other side of the scale is which one? Okay, here it is. So the other side of the scale is that you walk away too easily from too many situations, right? So there's another side where instead of like clinging on to somebody, you're like immediately one little thing and you let them go, right? One little thing and you let them go. And obviously you don't want to ignore red flags and you don't want to stay with a bad person, you know, just because you want to stay with them and he's your only option and all that kind of stuff. But you also don't want to be so detached from people because we all have stuff going on, right? We all have red flags, right? A red flag doesn't mean stop. It means pay attention. It means pay attention to what's going on with the person and find out if this is a pattern, if this is a deal breaker, if this is something that's going to stop you from being in a great relationship, if it's something that you need to walk away from or not. It doesn't mean to walk away though. If there's a whole bunch of red flags, that's probably a good time to walk away. If you see the red flag and it turns out to be a pattern, that could be a good time to walk away. But just a red flag in and of itself doesn't mean anything other than pay attention. That's all it means. So I hope that I hope that helped you. Uh-oh, here I go. Here I go singing again.